with it reported that a former AEW champion sent feelers to WWE and more. This is Wrestling Hub. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report for September 12th. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. When speaking to Bill Apter about The Rock, Steve Austin gave props to his former rival, saying everybody is doing their thing, but yeah, I could definitely see back then that a guy like him would have the capability and the ability and the want to succeed like he has. He has done it through nothing but hard-ass work. Props to him. I loved our matches together. I've always loved working with him, and I'm proud of him. I'm happy for all of his success because he is just killing it, and he is working his butt off. This larger-than-life character that he was in that movie, and then he didn't almost try to fit into the Hollywood standards. No, just let me do this my way. So the thing I like about The Rock is, he goes, hey man, I'm not just going to just mold myself down. I'm just going to be me, and that's what he has done. He has taken over Hollywood by himself. On his Click This podcast, Kevin Nash recalled challenging the late Ultimate Warrior to a fight over Twitter. As he said, I challenged him to a shoot fight on Twitter. It gets to the point where, and I swear to God I was stoned, and I typed whatever it was back then, 140 characters, and I'm stoned, and I just sent it out, and I'm like, what the F? He comes back with this edited, there's like 33 edits in it. He spent 3 days of his life because I just told him, hey man, we each put up 100 grand, we'll just get in the ring and just go. Winner takes all. I'm watching this thing and I'm looking at all of these edits, and how many days it must have took for him to do this. I was thinking, oh wow man, I didn't realize you would give me that much real estate in your brain. Talking about Gunther's entrance with Imperium at Clash at the Castle, Jim Cornette heaped praise on the presentation, saying their entrance is fabulous. Ludwig is perfect for the introduction, the facials and the voice, and the way he delivers it. And then when Gunther comes out, did you see the choreography? And I'm not talking about dancing, but he comes out and they automatically snap to attention to the side and put their arms behind their back, that stuff. They look like a bunch of World War II movie soldiers. He makes me smile, Gunther, just the whole presentation. This is an example of guys being cool with their gimmick and their entrance and not corny or silly or whatever. With El Brunch Day WWE, Karrion Kross talked about his second reign as NXT champion, saying this helped prepare him to be the WWE champion in the future. That's the type of title reign that some people will never ever see in their entire careers, and for me to be able to achieve that so early in my arrival in WWE, I'll never forget it. It was one of the best times of my career, and it prepared me mentally for everything that had happened in the future. I felt very prepared moving forward with what sort of expectation was going to be needed of me and the accountability of being a champion. I kind of thought of being NXT champion as every single day you show up to work, this is going to be dress rehearsal for one day becoming WWE champion. That's the way I always looked at it. Kross would also note how he feels following his return to WWE. Feel very good about it. When I was leaving NXT the first time and coming to the main roster, my goal was to compete against Roman Reigns. And I want to be very careful about how I talk about that publicly, because sometimes when you say you want to do publicly, it will never happen. People would ask me, do you want to wrestle Goldberg? Do you want to wrestle Brock Lesnar? Do you want to wrestle Bray Wyatt, Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton? Yes, across the board. But I would never ever talk about Roman Reigns because I didn't want him to know I was coming. So I knew at the time I thought I would naturally just get there. So this time coming back, immediately going towards my original goal of competing against him, feel very good about this. This is exactly right where I want to be, right here, right now. There's a couple people in front of him that I gotta take out, and it's exactly what I plan on doing. Kross would also hint at his next potential feud in WWE, saying, I have a lot of respect for Drew McIntyre. I respect what he has been through and what he has accomplished, and I think that he is the perfect person to destroy on television to set the tone for what I'm about to do in the immediate future. It's nothing personal at all, and he is just in the way and not for long. He won't be for very long, and that's the politest way I can put it. Explaining on his To Be The Man podcast why Drew McIntyre lost to Roman Reigns at Clash at the Castle, Ric Flair said it's not that Drew didn't deserve to win, but if you're gonna get eventually, if that's the plan, which we all hope it is, and I'm sure the company hopes it is, I'm assuming the company, never hope or assume anything, but if the plan is The Rock and Roman, I just think the words heavyweight championship are very important in that match. And I think taking the belt off Roman and taking nothing away from Drew could very easily carry it and be a good champion as well. But the big match for the company, maybe one of the biggest of all time, obviously is Rock, if he elects to do that in Roman. So the way they did it didn't hurt Drew at all. And Drew, you know, he's always gonna be great. As MJF finally returning to program following his pipe bomb promo where he has to be fired, Disco Inferno criticized AEW for failing to capitalize on this, saying on keeping it 100. AEW had a chance to try to turn this into something realistic, and it's just all wrestling, you know? Phony. It's all an angle. There's no way you can sell any of this as a shoot anymore. So all the meat on that bone is gone. Like, it's just a work, it's just another AEW angle, and they let MJF talk about this stuff. They'll say, oh look, it's a shoot, but we know it's not, because it's not going anywhere, right? Speaking about Triple H taking charge of creative in WWE, former star for the company EC3 mentioned on the Wrestling Outlaws that everything we were talking about, even with the cash, the creative, the complacency, and the guarantees, we're doing the same work in these same work weeks. There is a new boss in town, and we have no idea how it's going to go and how it differs. It could be a totally different place. Maybe not completely, but there could be. The leadership's starting at the top. I do think Triple H is a superior leader to ancient Vince and Tony from what I know. You know, you hope so, but you're probably right too. Just because there's a new president, sometimes the foundations and the system change. I think we give it a shot though. While there have been reports that WWE did not intend to air Tyson Fury singing with Drew McIntyre following the latter's loss to Roman Reigns at Clash at the Castle, Ringside News has said that there's a story going around that WWE forgot to cut off the feed at Clash at the Castle for Drew McIntyre and Tyson Fury sing-along. This is 100% false. A source in production confirmed WWE even had to make sure they could air the Don McLean song beforehand. With Olympic gold medalist Gable Steveson signed with WWE and being drafted to Raw last year, it seems that plans for the star have changed now that Triple H is in charge. On Sunday night's main event, Dave Meltzer said this about the previous plans for Steveson. It was that he was going to be the new Brock Lesnar, and they were going to send coaches to Minnesota and get a place in Minneapolis, and during the wrestling season, they were going to have him also train as a pro wrestler, which probably wasn't a good idea to do both at the same time. He hasn't debuted, and they wanted to debut him at WrestleMania, and it didn't happen. He was supposed to be fast-tracked to main events by now, like come right out of college and win the NCAAs, which he did, and then go right to WWE top level, and that didn't happen. While the Elite, the EVPs, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks have been suspended from AEW and stripped of their trios titles after their brawl with CM Punk backstage, it seems more reports have come out regarding the Bucks sending feelers to WWE, as Steve Carrier wrote. We can confirm that the Young Bucks sent out feelers to WWE. They are not alone. We were told that Kenny Omega has had feelers out to WWE since before he returned from injuries. Taking to YouTube, daughter of WWE Hall of Famer Mick Foley, Noelle recalled her experience at Dolly Parton's theme park, which she says led to her initial concussion. The main point of this video is to tell you guys what exactly happened and where it exactly happened. I've never made this public before, but on September 11th, 2019, at approximately 1:15 p.m., I got my concussion on the Mystery Mine coaster at Dollywood in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. On the ride, my whole body went forward and slammed back. So my head slammed back, my head hitting the headrest very hard. My neck whipped back. It was like a double whammy of hitting my head and injuring my neck. After that point, I don't remember much of the roller coaster, except at the end, it hung upside down for a few seconds, which probably made the situation worse. That's what it's like to live with a brain injury and hyperacusis, which is a hearing disorder I got my concussion, which means I'm extremely sensitive to sounds. It hurts my ears and it hurts my brain. That's the part that makes this whole life very hard to live with. It's just so hard for people to understand that sound can physically be painful. I never thought this was possible in my life, but now it is my life. It dictates my life. In the beginning of my injury, I did reach out to Dollywood, and they got back to me, and they said they would help cover my medical bills. But after reaching out multiple times, I never heard anything back. I don't really know what happened on that end, but it's kind of frustrating to be told something and then they disappear. And I reached back out to Dollywood earlier this year, not over the money, but just to tell them that they have to do something about the roller coaster, because I've ridden probably over 100 roller coasters, and I've never had any type of issue like this, obviously. The structure of the roller coaster, something's wrong with it. I did get a letter back in the mail from Dollywood, but one, they didn't take responsibility. They said sorry to hear about your medical issues, but they didn't say sorry this happened on a roller coaster, so I was a little frustrated that they didn't take responsibility on that. The second part was that they said they did their due diligence for the safety of its riders, but to me that's not good enough. That's not good enough for me or the other people that are going to be riding the ride. I also really want Dolly herself to hear my story. I don't think Dollywood has cared that much. I know they're a company, but I think if Dolly heard what happened to me at her theme park, I think she would care. She seems like a nice, caring lady, and maybe she could do something to make this situation a little bit better. That would be really nice and helpful. I just want to get better so bad. I desperately want to live a normal life again. I just used to be so happy and now I'm not. I just want my life to be happy. I just want to live a good life again. In a video posted to Instagram, MVP can be seen with Omos, but a former associate makes an appearance, as he seems to be teasing a return of his faction.
Giving the big man a tour. Brought him out to Multnomah Falls. When I get out here to Portland, I move around a little bit. So I'm showing my partner how to move around and taking care of business. Always thinking about business. Always thinking about business.
And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.